Coming up on the Tall Mike Wine Podcast.
One of the cabs is rye barrel aged. It spends 2 months in wet rye barrels. Yeah, you can look that up. Wet rye barrels. Let me ask you about your clothing choices today. You're wearing a brown sweater. You work at Brown. Do they make you wear brown here?
They don't. In fact, I'm more often than not wearing black in case I spill red wine.
Danny is pouring the wine for us. He's only worked here a short time. He got shown the door by one of the big corporate wineries recently. It happens. The world of wine can be, it's not for the weak at heart. It's not for sissies.
Martinsville, Virginia.
Martinsville. Shout out, Martinsville. Woo!
That's right. NASCAR, bowling, that's all we got.
This is good stuff. You're painting a picture.
And now, the Tall Mike Wine Podcast.
The Tall Mike Wine Podcast. By the time you hear this, I will be home. That's the magic of podcasting. I record it today. You hear it in a few weeks. I'm back home in Sonoma, and you're thinking I'm in Seattle, which is where I am. I'm in Seattle today. I am going to go out and taste wine in Seattle. Now, you're thinking there are no vineyards in Seattle, and you'd be mostly right, considering that. But there are wineries. There are tasting rooms. Washington has over 1,000 wineries, and a lot of them are actually on the Seattle side of the Cascade Mountains. Most of the grapes, pretty much 99.99%, grow east of the Cascade Mountains, where the weather is much nicer to grow grapes. Here in Seattle, it's a cold and wet day, although the sun is coming out. I seem to have timed my tasting appointment just perfectly, because as I left my hotel and headed toward the area south of downtown, SODO, where the tasting rooms are, some of them, the sun started to come out. The rain stopped. The sun came out. And now it's beautiful. Anyway, back to this whole growing the grapes thing. They truck them to the west side of the Cascades to make the wine at many wineries. Some are down here south of downtown SODO, and some are north of the town of Seattle, about a half an hour away up in a place called Woodinville, where they've taken a lot of the former warehouse spaces and turned them into little micro wineries. And I'm going to go there too, but today is a SODO tasting day. And I have a friend that's joining me, somebody I've known since high school. I'm back in the Pacific Northwest, so look, I have high school friends I can hang with. Isn't that fun? Weird? What is it exactly? My friend Tammy is going to join me, and then we're going to go into the first tasting room when she arrives. And hopefully she'll want to talk on microphone. I haven't really briefed her about this whole podcast thing. She knows of the podcast. She just doesn't know that I want her to be my guest today. Find out what happens when we get inside. I'm sitting outside right now. It's really nice. Very gorgeous day in Seattle. Stay tuned. That's good. That's good. Now we're inside. We're inside the tasting room at Brown Family. Bryn, is it Brown Family Winery? Brown Family Estates? Brown Family Vineyards. This is the SODO tasting room. SODO being south of downtown. Pioneer Square. This is the Pioneer Square tasting room, not quite south of downtown. There's some sort of borderline that we haven't crossed to get to south of downtown.
I think it's the stadiums.
Oh, we're only a few blocks from the stadium, which we're gonna go by, and I'm gonna pose for a picture in front of the stadium. Being a lifetime Mariner fan,
Perfect.
the person giggling with me is my friend Tam.
Hello.
She is a native of Bremerton, Washington. We went to high school together. And now she lives in Seattle and works for the Gates Foundation. We've been talking about so many things. This is what you do when you taste wine. Mm-hmm. I talked about my days on the radio in Yakima. And I talked about meeting Scott Simon from NPR. Tammy told me she's about to retire, which is exciting.
I'm very excited.
That's awesome. But now let's talk about the wine. We've got two different flights. So when you come here, you've got lots of options. You've got different flight options. You can also just have a few glasses of wine. One might just want to sit and drink a bottle of wine because, you know, that's what one does, right? And they seem to specialize in these big, lovely red wines. Tammy actually has a flight, though, with some whites.
Yes, they were delicious.
How was that Chardonnay?
It was really good. It's an unoaked Chardonnay.
Okay.
Delicious. It's
So it was
stainless steel.
Steely, fruity.
Yeah.
It says there on the notes, citrus-forward
clean.
aromas. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And then the GSM, which you let me taste, was nice and smooth.
Very smooth.
How is the Petit Verdot?
Well, the glass is empty.
It is empty. Oh, my God.
It was very good. Yes.
So you're going to give it high marks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very drinkable, very, very good wine.
If you were here to purchase wine today, and you might or you might not, and I really don't care what you decide to do, but which one would you be taking home?
I would probably take home the Petit Verdot and the Chardonnay.
Okay. I've been saying this for a long time, but I really think that Washington Petit Verdot is a thing. It's a thing to be watching, because some of the Petit Verdots I've had from Washington have been pretty stellar.
I would let you try some, but I finished it.
Oh, well, I bet Rin would give us another splash of the Petit Verdot.
I think so.
Yes.
A scotch.
Rin is pouring for us. She's been very accommodating.
Lovely.
There's nobody else here right now, which is nice. This is what happens when you go wine tasting in the middle of the day. It's nice. I am doing the Bittner flight. The Bittner flight, we're going to explain what that means when I get Rin on the microphone here momentarily. But it's all reds, and it's the big reds. I've got a Merlot, I've got a Malbec, I've got a cab. Actually, 2 cabs. One of the cabs is rye barrel aged. It spends 2 months in wet rye barrels. Yeah, you can look that up. Wet rye barrels. And it's delicious. The wines are amazing. We're having a little cheese. We got some nuts, some dried fruit. We're basically living the life that you would imagine that I live when you listen to the podcast and say, that guy lives the life. We're here on mic now.
Okay.
All right.
Am I alive? Am I running?
Well, you're being recorded.
Wonderful.
Eventually, you'll be edited. I don't know how you feel about that.
Are we getting our 90s nighttime radio DJ voices?
We are.
on?
We're going to go.
Hello.
We're going to go all night long with Lionel Richie.
Incredible. Incredible.
We're here at Brown Estate Vineyard. I got it right this time.
Brown Family Vineyard.
Brown Family Vineyard. God.
Brown Family Vineyards, actually, with an S.
Okay.
Yes, there's a lot. It's a lot of words to remember, so I don't blame you. We do have estate vineyard collection, so
right.
that could be
That's what I'm looking at here.
the confusion
On
there,
my flight,
yes.
I have a 2020 Estate Vineyard Malbec. Love it.
A nice jammy on the front end. Malbec.
It's nice.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a
very
little
nice.
dusty, a little nutty, though, I think.
I think so. I would say that's a very astute observation.
I'm speaking now with Rin, short for Catherine. Is it okay that I say that?
Yeah, I mean, just go by Rin. Nobody really knows my real name, actually.
Oh, mysterious.
I know. I'm
You work
keeping an edge of
behind the
mystery.
bar. Oh, that's a good choice.
Yes,
I like that.
I wore white shoes the first couple weeks of working here, and I quickly found that was a large mistake.
Yeah. You might have some cleanup to do at
Right.
some point, right?
Yes.
All right, so I had the Bittner flight. Can you explain Bittner in relation to Brown family?
Yeah, absolutely. So Andrew Brown founded Brown Family Vineyards in honor of his grandfather, William Bittner Brown, who was his real-life hero. It's a great inspirational story behind the name of Bittner, and we have several wines that have the Bittner name in them, including our Medallion collection, which is my personal favorite.
Is that the poppermost?
Well, when you put it that way, I have to say yes. Yeah. It's one of our pricier bottles and definitely the premier class reds that we sell here at Brown Family Vineyards.
When did Andrew Brown found the winery?
I believe he founded this brand in 2003, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, you won't be quoted.
I'm not.
You're just on a podcast that's out there
100% expert.
wherever podcasts are found.
I believe it was 2003,
Okay.
but it might have been a little bit earlier than that. Just getting the brand inspiration. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, as
No.
they say.
So it's Andrew
Andrew
Brown.
Yes.
And his grandfather?
His grandfather was William Bittner Brown.
Bittner, okay.
Yes. So that's where the name Bittner comes from.
Tell me more about Bittner.
Well, Bittner is, Andrew always likes to say, what would Bittner do?
Oh.
Since he was his real-life hero and inspiration, his grandfather was in the first graduating class of the OSS, the now CIA.
Yes, the CIA. The spooks.
And he was at the liberation of Paris in World War II and Battle of the Bulge and D-Day, Day 3, and spent his time, working over there in the military and just helping people be liberated from World War II. So a really inspirational guy, and came back to the U.S. and was a nice family man and just enjoyed all things wine, and spent some time early in his life as a student over in France. And that's when he fell in love with wine and food, of course. Can't
Food
go to
and
France
wine,
without falling in love with
the
the food.
boulangerie.
Le
the
boulangerie.
patisserie.
La patisserie. Yes, of course.
What's not to love?
I agree. I also spent some time in Paris, so I can tell you that it's a dear, dear place in my heart as well. Yes.
Patisserie.
So yeah,
I can just keep saying that all day.
I wouldn't blame you if you did. They're great words. Yeah. So he went to France for a year as a student, I believe, and just fell in love with all things wine. And so when he passed, Andrew founded the company in his honor.
That's a really great story.
It's a great story.
Are there other tasting rooms?
Yes, we actually have 5 tasting rooms
Whoa.
in Washington. This one is located in Pioneer Square.
Not SODO.
We have one. We have one in Tacoma.
Okay. Oh,
we
wow.
have one in Bellevue.
Shishi.
In Spokane, where our distillery for our spirits is also located.
Oh, my
And then,
God.
of course, we have one in Walla Walla, the
Yes.
big wine country of Washington.
Where's the mothership? Where is the wine made?
In Walla Walla.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
So all of our wine is grown and produced in Walla Walla.
Yeah,
and
most of the
shipped
grapes
out.
are over
Yeah,
there anyway. right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Nobody's growing the grapes here.
Well, some people are. We do have the Puget Sound AVA, but not for Brown Family Vineyards.
No.
But some people are growing grapes over here.
Sadly,
in
there's
Western
no
Washington.
Pioneer Square AVA. Who knows what you could be
I
growing
don't
here
know
in
if
Pioneer
you could grow
Square.
some wine in Pioneer Square. I'd like to see someone try. I think that would be an interesting experiment.
Welcome to Pioneer Square Vineyards.
It kind of has a nice ring to
Right,
it, Mike. Why
right.
don't you come up here and start that? I'd like to see it.
It's going to take some research and development. But instead, I think I'm just going to continue to sip my wine here at
That's a
Brown
good idea.
Family
Vineyards.
Vineyard.
You got it, Mike.
Thanks for chatting.
Of course, anytime.
Are we all good?
We are all good.
Okay. Just make sure the needle's moving when you talk. Okay. Now we're down the road. We went down the road. We're officially in SODO now.
South
We
of
weren't
the
in
stadiums.
SODO before. I made the mistake of saying we were in SODO, and they said, no, you're in Pioneer Square, which is part of, Seattle proper, right? Downtown-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're south of the stadiums,
Yes.
which is officially SODO, and we are in the tasting room at FST, and we're having a good time. Danny is pouring the wine for us. He's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's only worked here a short time. He got shown the door by one of the big corporate wineries recently.
Yep.
And he has some interesting things to say
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's like,
The
see
world
you
of wine
later.
can be, it's not for the weak at heart. It's not for sissies, right? The wine industry is not for sissies, is it, Danny? No. Okay. So we had a nice Riesling that was very, very flinty. Had a lot of nice, bright fruit flavors. And then we had the rosé made from Mourvedre and Grenache. That was also very nice, almost a little bit salty.
Mm-hmm.
And then did the Merlot.
The
I liked
upright.
it.
Oh, so good.
Is that your favorite so far?
So far, the upright has been my favorite.
Okay. And then Nana, an ode to the elder generation.
Mm-hmm.
This is a family winery started by an Italian guy. And Nana is, Italians. It's a Nana, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's got to be a Nana somewhere. And that's a red blend of Merlot and Cab Franc. And then we moved on to the Big Papa, which is their big cab. 100% cab. Pretty big and robust. I think it needs a little time, though. It's a new release.
It was sort of minerally.
Minerally, a little bit savory.
Yes.
I thought it was kind of meaty.
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting for a cab.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about what happened before we started today, because it was kind of weird, right? So I got to the first winery early because I was worried about parking. Luckily, there was a parking place right in front. I got myself parked. Tam came down, and she was on a bus. So she got there when she got there. We still had about 10 or 15 minutes to kill before we were to go into the winery. And so we popped into a little art gallery, and we were in the art gallery looking at the art, and somebody walked in the door and looked right at me and said, "Oh my God, they'll let anybody in these art galleries." It was my brother. My younger brother, Eric, who lives in Puyallup, but he does have a job that takes him into downtown Seattle. He drives a delivery truck. And he was making a delivery at that very gallery.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are you good at math at all?
Not
Can you calculate the odds of that happening?
There is a mathematical equation, but it's bigger than me.
Oh, my God. My brother Eric, there he was. That's just the strangest thing. I'm just still like reeling from that. It was nice to see him, though. All right, we're at FST in SODO. And do you want to talk about the Syrah? Oh, they just poured the Syrah for us. Jolie Bouche. Okay, we're going to taste the Syrah, and then we're going to try and get Danny to talk to us on the microphone. And we're going to stare at the map that he put down in front of us because it's a topographical map. It's bumpy. And you can see it on the Instagram. We'll be back.
I'll try to be a bit more thoughtful
Thoughtful?
on my phrasing.
Would you
about
be
that.
eloquent?
Yeah, I can throw in some eloquence.
Okay. Talking to Danny now. We're here at FST, and this is in SODO. I made the mistake earlier of calling the winery we visited up the street SODO, and they're actually technically in Pioneer Square.
Right on the border.
Right on the cusp.
Right on the cusp.
But now we're here in SODO, where things are definitely different, right? It feels more industrial here.
Yes, sir.
And Danny's been pouring lovely wines for us. And he told me he moved from Virginia, where he started to get his feet wet in the wine world. And then, did you have some major calling to come out here? How did it happen for you?
I had a restaurant
Okay.
for 12 years in South Central Virginia, kind of south of Roanoke.
Okay.
Great area. Real Virginia is what I call it.
South Central.
South Central.
Not to be confused with like South Central Los Angeles.
No, no way.
A little different.
Confusion. No,
but you're not
sir.
up there in Nova, right? You're
Thank
not
God.
in Northern Virginia.
We're in
See, I know this. I know me some
That's
Nova.
right. That's right. So the Nova people are fine and dandy.
Right?
We don't call ourselves SOVA. We just call ourselves Southwest Virginia.
Just call yourself Virginia.
Or just Virginia.
Right? Okay, so you had a restaurant.
That's right. I had a restaurant. That's kind of how I got my toes wet
Okay.
in the industry.
Yeah, you have a run. Yeah, if you're in the restaurant industry, it would behoove of you to learn a little bit about wine.
I did a club. I did tastings. Got a wine community growing in my small town of Martinsville, Virginia.
Martinsville. Shout out Martinsville. Woo!
That's right. NASCAR, bowling. That's all we got.
Bowling. This is good stuff. You're painting a picture for us.
When I was running that restaurant, I met a person. We became great friends. They
Okay.
liked beer. They liked baseball and disc golf, hiking, that kind of thing. We hit
Okay.
it off.
Okay.
He had an opportunity to move here
Okay.
to Seattle,
All right.
where he's from.
Oh, okay.
So he came back to be closer to his family.
Okay.
And then now I have an opportunity to visit.
Okay.
So I did many times.
All right.
Love it out here. But I was still in business with my restaurant.
Okay.
Very dedicated to
Okay.
it. He always told me, you should move out here. You'd love it. And if you did want to do that, I can help you.
Okay.
And I took him to his word on that. So when I closed my restaurant 2023 of February last year, I gave him a call and I said, hey, man, you still want to you want me to come up out there for you? And he said, yep. I'll let you rent my first floor until you get your feet underneath you.
Yeah.
You'll have to leave eventually. But
This is not an open-ended contract.
So that's kind of how it happened. The restaurant closed. I didn't want to do the restaurant exclusively anymore because that is diminishing returns on your physical health, mental health,
it's
and all
stressful.
That. Very, very stressful. I want to do a parallel industry. The wine club did great. Immediately after that job, I took a job at the beach in North Carolina, sort of northern coastal Outer Banks.
Okay, all right.
At a winery called Sanctuary Vineyards.
Sanctuary much.
And they're acclaimed as far as having the best 2023 red in North Carolina.
Okay.
So they're good. They're good. It was a state competition exclusively judged by CMS level 3 or above.
Oh, okay.
Blind.
So legit.
Pretty legit.
Okay.
Pretty legit. Worked there all summer, made a bunch of money, spent most of it, had a blast because I had, been in business for 12 years.
Time to relax and have some fun.
And I had so much fun.
Enjoy life.
I surfed.
Oh, good for you.
I'm bad at surfing. Terrible. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Okay.
It was good.
Well, you're not going to do a lot of surfing here in Seattle.
But feast or famine town.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a lot of opportunity after the summer. Called up Chris, said, hey, I'm ready to come out. So I drove out here with my pops. 1 week, arrived December 4th. And then I started working at Big Wine the next day.
Big corporate winery.
Big corporate winery the next day.
Wow. You got hired all of a sudden.
I talked to them for
a while. They knew you were coming.
They knew I was coming.
Okay.
They were okay with hiring me without having to meet me, so that was nice.
Wow.
And that's sort of how things got rolling out here.
Okay.
And then they let me go over some things that I don't agree with.
These things happen.
These things happen.
The corporate world is not for everyone.
And, well, there's plenty of wineries out here. It's tasting rooms, bars, and breweries and opportunities out here.
Right.
So I went to a couple of these places and came up to Woodinville, met a fellow who was working up there and said, I'd like to work for you at FSD. And they interviewed me. And here I am.
What a great story.
What a great story.
Tell me about the name of the winery, FST. So it's spelled EFESTE, which is hard. If you look at it for the first time, you're like, what is that? Why is that? That's not even a word. Turns out it's three people's initials spelled out.
That's right. And Farrelly Smith Taylor, although the Smith factor of the name is no longer in the company.
Okay.
Farrelly is Daniel and Helen Farrelly.
Okay.
Who are active at the winery currently.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor is Angela.
Okay.
Kevin Taylor. They're the T.
Okay.
So I think there was, I want to say, and I could be incorrect here, but Helen was an English teacher, I believe, and she had an understanding of phonetics. Decided to make a fictional word based on those three letters.
Okay.
If you were to say the letters FST,
right,
what would that be in a word?
FST.
FST.
EFESTE.
That's it. 19 years going strong, I believe since 2006.
That's incredible. How do you like being down here in SODO?
Well, I like it a lot. I don't miss driving on the interstate every day to go to work at rush hour in the morning.
Right.
Terrible.
No, not good.
Not good. Now I drive 1 mile from where I live. Because I live on Beacon Hill, not far from here.
Beautiful. You just come under the freeway, right?
I go over the freeway.
Over the freeway.
Little bridge.
It's one or the other.
That's right. A couple of train tracks, and I'm here. I can be here in 5 minutes. Two-edged sword.
You going to stick around for a while?
I'd like to.
Good.
I like it here. It's nice. Good wine. Great wine. My God. And the family's amazing. The staff are fun to work with. It's a beautiful area. Both locations. Great club.
Here and in Woodinville.
That's right. My apologies. Woodinville Warehouse
and
District.
they make the wine in Woodinville.
They do.
Okay.
Mark Fiore is our winemaker. He's fabulous.
I've loved the wines.
Thank you.
You know what I like best? Nana.
Oh, yes.
Nana's my fave today.
Yes. It's remarkable.
It's a Merlot Cab Franc blend. Delicious.
And that wine, I think, is named after Daniel Farrelly, who is the Big Papa.
Okay.
That's our big
There's another
Cabernet.
wine called Big Papa.
Big Papa.
Okay.
Big wine, nice cab. It's his, I believe that was the name of his mother.
They called her Nana.
Nana.
It's an Italian family. You got to have a Nana.
If I'm wrong, they're going to call me
That's all right.
It's okay.
It's a podcast. Nobody cares.
It happens.
Danny, thanks for chatting.
It's been a pleasure.
We moved a little further south down the street. First Avenue South is where you want to be if you're coming down to SODO to taste wine. First Avenue South, it's a thing, right?
Absolutely.
It's such a thing. So we went down further south, and we ended up at Spruce Hill Winery. Spruce Hill Winery is very important to me because the woman, the co-owner, is my friend from high school. Isn't it great?
Yes.
All those years ago, we were in Bremerton High. We graduated. We went on and did different things. I discovered wine. You discovered wine. How did you discover wine?
I like drinking wine.
Okay, this is Jo Bader, by the way. And she is the co-proprietor with her husband, Mark, who's also very charming, but he didn't go to Bremerton High.
He did not go to Kent.
Oh, Kent. Oh, so he's a Seattle guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When did you have an aha moment about wine?
Well, little travel.
Okay.
We'd spent some time in Europe, spent some time just getting to know wine, and Mark had always had an interest.
Right.
He made wine at home.
He made wine at home, and then he went to
some
wine
of it
school.
was not very good.
You didn't have to say that.
So, well, you know.
I like it, though. It's very honest. It's very raw. Let's just say
rough.
he's making better wine
He makes
now.
way better wine now. Way better wine.
You got into wine, and he got into wine, and pretty soon he was making wine. He worked for other people, right? He worked for wineries, real wineries?
Yeah.
Where did he work?
He worked for Bartholomew Winery.
Okay.
Here in Seattle, now they have a production facility and tasting room in Kennewick.
Okay. It's
And
Tri-Cities.
then, yeah. He was the assistant winemaker there for 4 years, I think.
And then how did all this happen?
Well, one day we woke up and lost our minds.
That's good. I think there's a lot of that involved in starting your own business.
Yeah.
We lost our minds.
Yeah. Well, start a business in a highly regulated industry.
Yeah.
And
government.
we're also new to being business owners too. So
Right.
that was kind of a big deal to start a business from scratch. And then on top of that, we make the wine. We do all of the jobs here at the wineries.
You pretty much do it all. I mean, he makes the wine. You help him.
Yeah.
And then you have a tasting room.
Yeah.
And you pour the wine.
And we pour the wine.
And you sell the wine.
We sell the wine.
Do you have employees?
We have no employees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just the two of you.
Seriously. It's a tiny winery.
But he just told me you make about 1,000 cases.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good start.
Yeah.
Right? 1,000
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not little.
It's not little. It's not also not huge. Feels pretty manageable.
And you buy fruit from all over Eastern Washington. You just poured us through the whole list.
Mm-hmm.
How many wines did we taste? Like
there were 8.
9, 10?
Yeah, the current releases.
You know what I really liked? The Syrah. I think that's the one I'm going to take home.
Oh, excellent.
I thought the Sauvignon Blanc was also very interesting.
The Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, yeah. And then you're working with Sangiovese as a rosé, and there's not a lot of Sangiovese in Washington State.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But the wines are great.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're going to grow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What's the plan? Tell me what the plan is.
We're looking to open a tasting room South Sound, so
Okay.
Gig Harbor or
Gig
Tacoma.
Harbor.
Yeah.
Gig Harbor is getting more and more shishi.
It's always been a little bit shishy.
Well, yes and no. When I was a kid, the only thing there was the Tides Tavern.
That's right.
Tides Tavern is still there.
It is.
Thriving, but now there's a lot more stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
kind of a little
kinda.
fancy. Isn't there a distillery there?
Yeah, there's a distillery, Heritage is down there,
Yeah.
and then Seven Seas Brewing.
Right.
And yeah, there's a few things going on. There's a lot of beer
Yeah.
in Gig Harbor.
Well, there's a lot
so
of beer everywhere in the Pacific Northwest.
We want to bring a little more wine
I love that idea.
to Gig Harbor.
So then you start making more wine eventually.
Yeah.
Tasting room in Gig Harbor. When do you think that'll open?
We need to find a good spot.
Okay. So
Yeah,
a
it's
couple
been
years?
Maybe next year.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
guys you're
yeah.
on the fast track
Oh,
then.
yeah, we're doing it. Yeah.
Well, I want people to come see you, not because we went to high school together, because the wine is good. And this is a nice vibe in here. You know, it's pretty small.
It's very industrial.
It's industrial. They make the wine just in the next room. In fact, if you look on my Instagram, you will see pictures of the barrels. Okay? Jo Bader from Spruce Hill Winery. Thank you. Wow, what a day
Yes.
in SODO and Pioneer Square, right?
Beautiful down here.
And the sun came out. It turned out to be a decent day. It rained a lot in the morning, and then the sun came out.
Yep.
Did you have fun?
Totally had fun. This is great to be able to try places in Seattle on this side, because I always thought you had to go over to Woodinville.
Yeah, Woodinville is north. This is south.
Yeah.
And it's
really
closer.
nice.
It's closer into the city.
Much closer.
But what I meant about did you have fun was, did you have fun being on the podcast?
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, of course, I knew that. I had a blast being on the podcast.
Yes, it is. That's it. We're done. Now we can go, do other things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have other things to do, right?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay, bye-bye.
Vacations. I wish they could go on forever. Well, I guess Tammy's is about to. She's retiring in a few weeks, and then it's permanent vacation time. Maybe I can have her back on the podcast. She's a lot of fun. Congratulations on your retirement, my dear, and cheers to you. As for me, I'm already back in Sonoma planning the next podcast episode and pouring wine at Nicholson Ranch in Sonoma. You should come see me on your vacation. Send me an email. We'll coordinate. That's tallmikewine@gmail.com. The Tall Mike Wine Podcast was conceived and is written, produced, edited, and maintained by yours truly. For a peek behind the scenes, follow me on Instagram @tallmikewine. If you've started following me recently, thanks for pushing me over the 1,000 followers mark. Now let's get it to 2,000. Tell your friends. If you'd like to help me keep the podcast commercial free, you can become a sponsor for as little as $3 a month, or $5, or $10. Click the support the show link in the show notes. And thank you in advance for your generosity. Oh, yes. And I'm Mike Stone. Keep swirling. Keep sniffing. Keep sipping. Cheers.